Hey everybody, I'm Jeremy, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 major mistakes that I made as a new trail runner and how you can avoid them. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you what happened when I decided to run the whole 41-mile Timberline Trail in Northern Oregon with just 3 months of training. More details on that story later in the video. So, quick backstory on how I found trail running initially. A buddy of mine and I last summer were actually backpacking that Timberline Trail, and it was a 3-day slog. We spent 3 days hiking all day to do this thing, and about halfway through I wonder if anyone has ever hiked this trail in a day. And come to find out, after the trip I get online, people hadn't just hiked this thing in a day, people have actually run this thing. That led me down a YouTube rabbit hole. That led me to find ultra running and trail running, and found out that there's this whole group of badass guys and girls out there who run hundreds of miles through the wilderness eating nothing but peanut butter jellies and potato chips. So I was hooked right away. I hadn't even gone on a run yet, but I was hooked. And so I'm the type of person that when it comes to hobbies, I go all in on something. So I watch documentaries, I read tips and tricks, I was watching forum videos, I read Born to Run, I hit all the bases, and I thought I knew my stuff at that point. So finally, I actually got out there on the trail, started doing some running, and something I saw everywhere when I was doing my research was, start slow, increase your weekly mileage by 10%, incorporate recovery, and yeah, I pretty much ignored all that advice. So that brings us to our first mistake on the list. First mistake, doing too much too soon. I was super guilty of this. What can I say? I was eager to run big miles. So here's my Strava data for the first 6 months of my running journey. And you can see I wasted no time ramping up my training mileage to what was for me an unsustainable training load for my unadapted body. But I was having a great time. I quickly started getting in 10, 12, 15 mile runs, getting out in the mountains, loving every minute of it, fresh air, endorphins, all of it. But that's when I had this idea. The impetus of this whole trail running idea was this 41-mile loop around Mount Hood in Northern Oregon. And this is the trail that introduced me to ultra running. And so I had this idea. I would run the whole trail as soon as I could. So I would accomplish this massive feat before the summer was out, because I needed to hit the trail before snow came, and it was already midsummer at this point. So, but before I tell that story, let's talk about 2 other major mistakes that I made on my running journey. Number 2 on the list, buying gear too early. So watching all these ultra running documentaries was super inspiring. I saw all these badass athletes out there with their vests, their poles, cool trail running hats, the belts, floppy water bottles, and I thought I need to have all of that. So immediately pretty much bought all that stuff, and nowadays I don't really use any of that stuff on my runs. I prefer to kind of feel thin and free out there. So I leave a lot of that gear at home. And if I would have waited a few months and bought the gear now, I would have known more what I needed and what my preferences would be. I have one piece of gear that I do use pretty often, and it's this Instinct running belt. It's pretty cool. You put your feet through it, pull it up to your waist, and it's got all these pockets on it. You put your keys in there, you can put water bottle in there and your phone, and it's $40. It's pretty low investment, and it's really all you need. That and a good pair of running shoes. Those are really the 2 only things you need. Well, really the shoes are the only thing you really need, but the belt does help. But having the shoes, that's what's so cool about running, is really you can do it with nothing. It's not a huge investment to get started. But if you are a gear person like me, like researching this stuff, buying this stuff, it's totally cool to buy whatever you want and you think you can afford. But it's also cool to know that you can start running today without anything. So, cool thing about the running belt is that you don't have anything on your back. You don't have to carry anything in your hands. So you can really focus on the trail ahead. You can focus on your form, which brings me to my third point, is focusing too much on form. This was the third big mistake I made. So what I'm not saying is that form is not important, but I am saying you can focus on it too much and start to do things that are unnatural for your body. So when I started, I was watching all these form videos, and when I was out there on runs, I had 10 different cues in my head. Keep your cadence high, keep your head up, keep your back straight, clench your butt cheeks, don't overstride, all these things. And honestly, it kind of separated me from the experience initially. I was focusing too much on these cues and not focusing on just the experience of being outside, being in the mountains, enjoying myself. And my main goal with trail running is to get out and connect with nature and get out in the mountains. And now my main thought was trying to clench a coin between my butt cheeks. And that was actually a real cue that I had read in an article. So I believe that humans, we're all designed and born to walk and run. And it's something that, form is something that if you just relax your body and you get some miles out there, put in some practice, you will naturally start using form that works for your body. And the more you run, the better you're going to get, the better you're going to look, the better you're going to feel. Now, if you're flailing around like crazy or you're getting some weird aches and pains, I'm not saying form couldn't be a factor. Form could be something to look into. I am saying, though, that an obsession with perfection can detract from your experience, your connection with nature, and can actually cause you to run in a way that's unnatural for your body. And that's exactly what I believe happened to me early on, and what contributed to what happened to me out there on the Timberline Trail. Here we go. I'm going to give you a quick rundown on my day running the 41-mile Timberline Trail, and I'll tell you everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the day started off great, and I kind of figured that the earlier the start, the better. So I was up at 3 a.m. I had my whole bag packed the night before, got out to the trailhead at 4 a.m. and just started hammering. I had an awesome morning. The first 10 miles I ran in about 9-minute miles each, which was super fast for me, faster than I was generally running in training. So I was already making a mistake there, doing too much too soon in that day. And by the time I'd gotten about 10 miles in, it was still dark. I was right below this massive, beautiful waterfall in the dark, just amazing experience, and was like, this is awesome. I'm 10 miles in, I'm a quarter of the way done, and it's not even light out yet. I'll be home before lunch. Maybe I'll even set a fastest known time, who knows? And so I was on top of the world at this point. So then I hit my first major climb, and my pace slowed down quite a bit, but nothing could break my spirits at this point. I was on top of the world. I was eating consistently. Everything seemed to be going right. And then around the mile 25 point, something started to change just a little bit. I started to get this kind of little pain in my right knee. It was super mild on the outside of my right knee. And it started to become this thing in my mind. Like every step I was thinking about it. Uh-oh, what's this pain? What's happening here? And then after another 5 miles, it got to the point where I had to stop and ask my body, check in with my body and say, what's happening here? And then when I got up from that 5-minute break there, I had this shooting pain from my hip down into my knee. And that's when I realized, like, shit, something's happening here. So kept pushing on. I noticed that the more I would stop, the more the pain would come on hard when I would get going again. So I decided I'm just not going to stop. I'm going to push through to the end there. And it got to the point where, by the last climb, I was basically limping, using my trekking pole as a walking stick. And luckily I made it. I made it back. I did the whole loop. And the whole thing was an amazing experience. It's something I'll never forget. But I learned a valuable lesson that I figured out later that what I was experiencing there in my knee was called IT band syndrome. And it's like a classic runner's injury that's brought on by doing too much too soon. So there you go. That comes right back to our first thing. And I think that the Timberline Trail kind of pushed that over the edge, but that it would have come up anyway, because I was running these huge, I had never run before in my life. And I was running these huge runs couple months into my running journey. So after that day, the pain in my knee continued. So after that 41-mile run, I basically, anytime I'd run a mile or two, the pain would come on to the point where I was limping. I'd have to limp home. So it's something I'm still dealing with to this day, almost 4 months later, but it is getting better day by day, thanks to me following my own advice that I gave you guys here, which is don't do too much too soon. So after that day on the trail, I way dialed back my running. You can see here in my Strava data that this dip is where I dialed back completely, taking a week totally off from running. And since then I've been slowly increasing the miles using that 10% week rule, which I do recommend now. And I've just gotten back to running almost 20 miles a week pain-free. I also incorporated some resistance exercises to strengthen the muscles in and around my hips, which I believe has been a game changer for my recovery. If you're struggling with IT band syndrome, let me know in the comments and I can make a video for you showing you the routine that got me back on the trail. The main message I want to get across to you in this video is this. Wherever you're starting out right now, with running, with hiking, or with anything in life really, is okay. You're exactly where you need to be. A wise friend once told me that comparison is the thief of joy, and I really believe that. We see all these incredible athletes doing amazing feats on YouTube, and it's easy to compare ourselves to them. But we have to remember that they all started off as beginners at one point too. The most important thing in this whole thing is to get outside, enjoy this present moment and where you are today. Find a love for the process, and I know that you will all reach your goals. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next one.